is the Schaefer Baseball Report, an inside look at America's pastime. From Little League all the way to the big leagues. Now here's your hosts, former Major League infielder Jeff Schaefer and Tommy the V. Viola.
Welcome everybody to the Schaefer Baseball Report number 29. Todd Father.
What you got, Ray?
Felipe Lou, you did pull that one out. You know that, bro. I was like, oh, okay.
I got Adrian Beltre. So
Adrian Beltre retiring, right?
Yeah, that's easy.
They say so.
Somewhat.
Boy can still hit.
They sure can.
Yeah, very cool. Appreciate Andrew Zike, Ray Torres here in Studio 225 on Olympic Street in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Office B.
Yeah, we got a studio on wheels, don't we? We can pick it up and we can roll. We've rolled it all over the place. Pretty cool day yesterday.
Yeah,
Three of us got
awesome.
to go up to the Touchdown Club luncheon, courtesy of Alan Barnes and Mike Salvino, who are a big part of our UDACF program and the facility that we're building. And it was very cool because Pete Rose was the key man. He was it. And holy cow,
It was a one-man show.
he's a stand-up comic.
Oh, my God. He was hilarious.
Yeah, and you know it's interesting. He's standing in somewhat of the Bible Belt, right, in Charlotte, North Carolina, and this boy was rude. He was crude. He didn't care, did he? What does he care?
No, it was funny.
You know,
It was awesome. I did not expect that from him, to be honest with you.
I've
never heard him.
I've never heard him speak either.
Oh.
And I've heard people say that he's good, and then you expect, like you get tired of hearing all this motivational speaking.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
But
No
here's
filter,
none.
like we do here.
None.
Oh, it was hilarious, the stories he had. Joe DiMaggio. They were all great.
Oh, that one. We can't even repeat that.
Oh, no, we can't repeat that one. No,
we can't.
No. But
that was a blank connected. Or man, I don't even know what that. I don't even can't even beep that one out.
Yeah,
I'm not even
A beep
go
connected to a beep.
Yeah.
But you know what's cool about that? Not only all the stories. Here's the greatest hitter in the game of baseball, right? More hits than anybody else in the game, and I doubt. There's certain records you look at. 56 games. I don't think will ever be caught again.
That's right.
In terms of consecutive hits, I don't think Pete Rose's almost 4,200 hits will ever be met again.
No, that's
tough.
The amount of at-bats he had, I don't think any player could, they could play the next 20 years and probably never get there.
He played every day.
Yeah.
And that was a big part of what he said. It's interesting. He said there's guys in the big leagues right now that are just sitting there, and that's their job. They just sit around and they wait, or they're DHs or they're pinch hitters, whatever. He said when they played, they played.
You had to play.
And we carried, when I played, we carried a thin bench. We carried more arms than we did position guys, but the guys that were starters pretty much started all the time. Like my starts would come on a travel day, usually, or on a Sunday, to give those guys a rest. I wasn't there to carry club, and you didn't need 5 or 6 of us. We had, we had Alvin Davis, DHing at the time because they brought Pete O'Brien over originally. Not originally, but they had Alvin Davis, who had a great career, but they brought Pete O'Brien in, and Pete became the everyday first baseman. So Alvin was our left-handed DH, and then I was the extra middle guy, but I also caught in the pen and also ran around in the outfield. Oh yeah, man!
Bullpen catcher,
dude. I warmed up Randy Johnson for a series there when he got hot, and he was like, "Hey, bring Schaefer out," and I'm like, "Bring him out in bubble wrap." Yeah, man, I had a whole cast made for my thumb because I couldn't, he was throwing sliders.
Oh my God.
I don't know how to frame a ball. I'm just catching, man. I'm not even catching. I'm in self-defense. I'm like a hockey goalie.
Jeez Louise.
And he's, at that point, you got to imagine, he was walking 8 a game, punching out 9, so his warm-ups were the same thing that was taking place on the mound. And, hell yeah, he'd throw that slider, man, and it'd go inside half on the right-hander, and I would turn the glove over, and my thumb would go down the ground, and it would just, so I had the trainer make a cast that went in there, so when I turned it over, it couldn't go anywhere. So I just box it, pick it up, and throw it back.
There you go.
Yeah, but you did what you did. You did. Hey, listen, I did whatever they asked me to do to stay in that uniform because, once you're up there, you don't want to get on that plane heading back to like Vancouver or Tacoma or Rochester. You know what I mean? You want to be going to Chicago or, Boston or New York.
Major cities.
Big time, man, where people carry your luggage. I don't carry my own luggage anymore. But when we were there, Pete talked about people. He talked about his records because it's Pete Rose. And listen, if the Hall of Fame is going to plaster him up there, he's going to make sure everybody remembers, what he did. And he did. I've always said that Pete should go into the Hall of Fame, but because he's so unfiltered, and we saw that yesterday, you don't let him speak. You know what I mean? Like, you're
Imagine
there.
that talk. Imagine that talk when he's
Holy
receiving
cow,
his
man.
Hall of Fame award.
You let him go. You let him like, say what you want to say.
Yeah,
Well,
you see him on the big stage. Let me tell you about Joe DiMaggio.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, to Joe DiMaggio. And then, the Concepcion story was great.
Concepcion.
That was good.
That was phenomenal.
I know I told my wife and kids yesterday a story about his son calling him from the minors when he was 0 for 22.
Yeah.
That was hilarious.
So the story, right? The story goes, Dave Concepcion wasn't as good a hitter, obviously, as Pete Rose. Pete Rose is the greatest hitter in the game, right? Base hit guy, not home run, and then so Concepcion has periods where he struggles pretty heavily. Pete's son, Petey, calls him from the minor leagues and says, Dad, I need your help. And Dad says, what can I do for you? And he says, I'm in an 0 for 22 slump. And Pete said, why are you calling me? Call Concepcion. So Pete said, I think I went 0 for 5 once or something.
Yes, that was classic right there. That was unbelievable. Imagine his son on the other line like, oh.
No kidding, man. I just got dissed by my dad. Holy cow, Petey, you're not that good.
I love the question when he said that someone asked him, hey, so what do you think you hit off the right now? What do you think you hit if you're playing in the Major League Baseball right now? He says 263, and they go, really? Why? He goes, because I'm 76 years old.
Yeah, what do you think? Yeah, that's amazing.
That was hilarious.
He'd have a higher average than I had career average at 77. I promise you, man. I promise you that. But just phenomenal to see. That's a guy that's unfortunately, and he joked about his gambling. You know? I mean, he's open with it through humor. I don't think that he's ever going to get in the Hall of Fame.
It was a raw deal. I mean, listen, I understand he gambled, and I really don't know the ins and outs of it, but listen, what he did between the lines when he played, can't take that away.
No.
Yeah, and listen, I think there's presumption there. I think that they presume that he was gambling forever. But the guy won.
Yeah.
He
if he's going to gamble, he's going to gamble on his team winning. I bet.
Gamble on himself, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And but if they don't let Shoeless Joe Jackson into the Hall of Fame, I don't think Pete Rose ever gets in the Hall of Fame. And they would have to let Shoeless Joe Jackson in before they let Pete Rose in, because it's been longer.
Yeah, that's true.
And it's the same thing. It's the 1919 Black Sox, the scandal, and to this day he's denies that he was even involved in that situation. Yeah. And hit over 300 in the playoffs. Most of you can tell me he could have hit 400, maybe. I don't know back then. But so many interesting observations by Pete Rose about the game today and the players. But definitely talking about smaller fields.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah.
And juice baseballs. When he said he saw a pop up go into the stands, bounce on the first level,
and went up 2 levels.
And went up that high. He said, you can't tell me that the ball isn't juiced at that next level at the big leagues. Yeah. And the field is smaller, and they're built with jet streams. It brings the average fan out there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The average fan knows nothing but, he hit a home run. I saw this guy hit a home run. They have no idea, that.
The real baseball guys sit on the edge of their seats when there's a 1-0 game, when the guy's throwing a no-hitter, when it's a game that's just a lot of strategy going on. But the average baseball fan that, just comes there to be entertained for the night, want to see a 11-9 ball game with 9 home runs.
Well, there was, I forget what series it was, but there was like 30-something home runs hit, over a course of this period with this one team. It's almost like going to Cooperstown.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Where everybody has the ability to hit a home run. It drives me crazy. It does. I hit 2 in 5 years and both windblown. I mean, like seriously windblown, like jet stream out. And Tim Raines, both in Comiskey Park, 2 separate years, and Tim Raines jumped for both of them like he was going to catch them.
No kidding.
Yeah, but when I saw the video, they cleared the fence by 2 feet.
No way he was getting that high.
He wasn't getting up that high, brother. I nutted it, man. I nutted it. But not on top of baseball's being juiced. Like, the wood now that these guys are swinging is much harder.
Oh, it's some hard wood. I mean, especially the guys that go to in the big leagues, they get the prime wood. They're not getting the big specials.
Every bat that we used to get was ash, right? Not maple. There's a lot of maple bats, maple and ash. So we used to take like a cow femur bone and we would rub the femur bone over the top of the bat as hard as we could to heat up the bat and whatever the sap that was in there, and then we would take rosin and we would tap rosin inside the cracks, so the rosin would get inside, the sap would warm up and get loose. Then you put the rosin in there, and then it would harden, and it would make it into steel. The problem for me was I couldn't do that on my handle, because I kept getting jammed all the time. That would have been the right place to do it. I kept doing it on the barrel, and it didn't work so good for me.
Oh, really?
It's like, really, dude, get the point? Now you're like sitting there looking at me like, really?
Hey, don't mind me. The allergies are kicking my butt, and I'm highly
Ray's
medicated.
on allergy medicine.
Yeah, there you go.
Ray's on allergy medicine. He's looking at me like, oh, wow, that's fascinating.
I'm thinking about how what I'm going to do all the bats tonight.
Yeah, if I could like rosin my handle, I might have got 2 or 3 more extra hits along the way.
That is funny. Hey,
yeah.
Listen, when the big leaguers talk, you listen. You
don't.
You never know what you're going to learn.
Yeah. So I was sending Harold Reynolds an email yesterday, and I said, "Now I just want you to remember, my career was nothing to write about." Oh man, it's so funny. But the part that I really enjoyed I enjoyed the whole day. I mean, there were so many good baseball people there.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I mean, we saw high school coaches. I saw Lauren Hibbs from UNC Charlotte there. Just guys that baseball fans. We've seen families that we have. That play here at CBC. So it was a great baseball day. And that, to plug our UDACF or You Deserve a Chance Foundation or Home Plate Gala night, that's what that night is like. I mean, it's really cool. It's a good time, and our presentations are good. I mean, we haven't had the humor that Pete brought, but we've had the heartfelt, warm, this is really cool. This is what the game is about. And so that's on November 9th at Ballantyne, and we're kicking butt with tickets right now. We're ahead of where we were last year as far as ticket sales go, and
still have over a month.
Yep, and we got over a month to go, and we're probably a little bit more than halfway to 300, which is very cool because the room holds 350. We're only going to go 300 because we have we need 2 bars in there. And we're going to sit there, Ray, and we're going to rub bones on our bats, and we're going to put rosin in our stuff.
Man.
So that's, the one thing that Pete talked about, and we've brought it up many times, he talks about his experiences.
Yeah.
Right? So, yeah, he's done phenomenal things in the game, better than anybody else has ever done in the game. But he talks about the people that he played with. I got to play with the greatest third baseman in Mike Schmidt. I got to play with the greatest second baseman in Joe Morgan. You ask him about Trout, and you ask him, but I mean, so he's talking about the players, and he's talking about the people, and he's talking about the experiences. You talk about Joe DiMaggio, and we joke. I mean, you got to go away with Joe DiMaggio for 23 days in
Vietnam.
In Vietnam, and
crazy.
That was I think that was the biggest thing that impressed me yesterday. I mean, besides him being Pete Rose, was that you don't ever think that the different eras of the times that he played and how many people, like from Joe DiMaggio all the way to Clemente to
Roger Clemens.
Yeah. I mean, it's like this guy played with guys that you idolize your whole life.
Played with 11 Hall of Famers.
That's pretty impressive.
He played with 11 Hall of Famers. Not that he played against, he played with 11 Hall of Famers. That's pretty special. So.
And I thought it was pretty cool. My favorite thing was, I mean, he's up to date with like exit velo, launch angle, all that stuff.
Well, he watches 3 games a day.
Right. I mean, I didn't think he would do. I mean,
I don't think his brain can take in anything other than baseball.
Right.
I think he's proven
he's wired. Yeah.
He's not a businessman. He's not. I mean, he's just a baseball. He's a diamond rat. That's all he is.
Goes to luncheons and tells stories now.
Yeah.
Listen, he sits 3 blocks down in Cooperstown when Hall of Fame's going on and signs autographs. I mean, that's how he's making his money.
Right.
But he said, what did he say? He lost $90 million?
$90
million for that,
Yes.
So when he was going down that thing, I thought he was going to say, I lost $90 million, but I would have gambled away $150 million. That's what I thought he was going to say.
I thought he was going to say that too. I lost $90 million, but I won. I thought he was going to go. I totally thought that's where he was going.
Yeah, no, not. But what a great day we had. Obviously, you were there. John Ennis, Ross Glode, Morris Madden. There was just I mean, they go down the list.
Alan Cochran,
Bagwell, Hignite. I mean, there were other high school coaches there that Simmons, these guys were all sitting there. All the baseball guys.
Meadow was there.
Menet.
Yeah, Menet.
Menet.
Yep.
Who's retired now, but I mean, we all, whatever our issues are with each other in this process, whether it's high school coaches, whether it's showcase guys, whether it's tournament people. I mean, the bottom line is we all love the game, and sit there and listen to those stories. Right. It has the same effect on every single one of us, and it's pretty cool to do that, especially when you get to see one of the greatest ever play the game.
That's right.
Charlie Hustle. Yeah. Who did he say gave him that name? Forget who he said gave him that name.
Wasn't someone on the Yankees? No.
Babe Ruth? No. No, I forget who said.
It was an old timer though.
Yeah, it was.
It was a big name.
It was a Frank Robinson.
Yeah, Frank Robinson.
I think it was what he said. Yeah, so very cool. So, but we're getting ready to advance. I know, Andrew, you had a subject that you've been trying to bring up for a few weeks, and Ray wouldn't stop talking.
No, he wouldn't. No, I want to get your guys' opinions on multi-sport athletes. I mean, I know when I was growing up, especially at the high school level, I mean, you were really, especially in my high school, you were only limited to really one sport because the coach's conflicts. I mean, he only wanted you to play baseball and work out with baseball in the off season, that sort of thing. But some kids did play multi-sports, but they didn't see as much playing time. So I don't know how it was when you guys grew up. I know you guys were kind of two different generations.
Not that far apart. How old are you, Ray?
41.
Okay, three generations.
No, but I just want to know what you guys thought. I mean, what it was like if you guys played multi-sports
Go ahead,
when you were
man.
growing up.
Listen, the specialized sports when I was coming up there was no specialized sports. You just played during the season. Fall was football, winter was basketball, and the spring and summer was baseball. And you know what? That's how we came up growing. We grew up. We just played different sports, and we never had this specialized system of like you have to hit all year long, and you have to see a pitching coach, and you have to see a hitting coach, and you have to do one sport to be good at it. I think every sport made me a better athlete because it just worked on different parts of my body. But I think that nowadays parents and everyone feels like they're going to lose a competitive edge if they don't play if they only play baseball all year long, and if they put their kid in football, they're going to lose a step. Or if their kid plays basketball, they're going to be behind in the spring when their kid goes out there. I can't say that there's any proven facts that that's the case, but I feel like these kids should be kids and have fun and just go out there and play different sports and just be athletes. I think that's what we're losing nowadays, the athletic part of it, as far as just being athletes. Yeah, these guys could throw 95 and they could hit the ball 400 feet and they could run a 6.260, but how athletic are you? How agile are you? How quick, your lateral movement because of basketball, and how explosive are you in football, and that stuff you bring into the baseball field. So, I mean, that's my 2 cents in that.
So, my background similar to that. What's interesting, I was just thinking as Ray was talking, is that I had one glove, one bat, I had one football, I had one basketball, right? These kids walk in here with 8 bats, 8 gloves. You know what I mean?
Baseball bag. Not.
I mean, it's great. So they have, and my son Zach has a pitching glove, a first baseman's glove, and a third baseman's glove. He's got 2 wood bats, an aluminum bat. Multiple uniforms. We had one uniform, right? So to me, it was what that tells me is that I didn't need all that stuff because one season was one season, right? And you're right. We're heavy into training, okay, which is important, okay.
Of course.
But each sport gives you a different mentality on top of physicality, right? You need different muscles for every one of these sports, and I think it is a good thing if a kid was able to play multiple sports. But when we played multiple sports, it was usually our high school sport.
Yeah.
Right? So you played high school football, you played high school baseball, and in the summer you played summer baseball, but you didn't have really this big AAU basketball or church league basketball or and football players. I have no idea what football players do all year round except maybe lift and do speed and agility and training. So everybody's trying to be specific to their sport. I don't say that I discourage it. or encourage it. You know what I mean? If a kid wants to do it, then go do it, because it's a great experience. It's a good thing. You want to be a part of your high school team? Be a part of your high school football team. You want to be a part of your high school basketball team? Be a part of it. I know you're training. You know, that's the part. I know you're training. You don't have to, go through things. And certain parts of your body need rest. And in certain sports, you get that rest. Yeah. If you're playing basketball and you're a pitcher, you're not throwing all the time. But you're getting your cardio in. You're running up and down the court. You're getting your endurance and your stamina. You football, you become, there's a lot of weight training to it. I'm not really keen on the football weight training because it's more north and south type of training. You're just pushing guys in front of you and trying to move around. You don't have all that, as far as strength goes, you don't have that side to side, lateral, quick twitch, all that other stuff. Although that's a big part of the game. I don't say that it's not there, but your training isn't specific to that. I think the biggest piece of all this is, one, the parents have been conditioned to think that that's what you absolutely have to do. Two, we're in the same business as so many others at academies. You got to keep your doors open. So you create this, you got to come train, you got to work out, you got to do X, Y, and Z, because there's revenue involved in what we're trying to do. And again, like I said, I never hide behind the fact that anybody that's making money in this business doesn't deserve to make money. Right. I just always said, if anybody's making money in this business, make sure that, they're giving the product worthy of the dollars that they're collecting. So that's a big part of it. But I think the biggest piece is that we're so scholarship driven, and especially on the baseball side. And the reason it's become more specific on the baseball side is because there's only 11.7 scholarships, and academics are critical. I mean, I'm dealing with a player right now that the kid got a 1450 on his SAT. Trying to get him into to the right school, the right situation that has baseball, that's going to allow him to be a part of that. Then you got to deal with kids on the other side that that are great athletes, and they want to give them some kind of money, but they're a box of rocks, right? So they're not going to get academic money. So now their families can't afford to do that. Where we look at football and basketball. Oh, they get all the money. They get full ride. So this is the truth. I'm watching my son Dylan, who's 14 years old. Never seen him punt a football in my life. Booming punts, like crazy, like athletic. So a good friend of ours, son, is a punter on a high school team, getting a full ride somewhere, whether it's Boston College, getting a full ride. So my thought was, okay, I'm gonna get Dylan a punting coach, teach him really how to do it because he has the leg. Let him get a full ride to go kick footballs, and then he can play baseball in the spring.
You know who that reminds me of? Remember Casey Beatty?
Yes.
Yeah, yes. The same thing happened with Casey Beatty.
But Casey Beatty didn't play baseball in college.
No, he didn't play baseball in college. No.
And Casey Beatty really was a better punter than he was a baseball player.
Oh, he was an amazing punter.
Yeah,
he was playing at Olympic. I mean, he was a good first baseman. And
Olympic? Who went to Olympic?
I mean, one tool, duh.
One tool, and the manager of the St. Louis Cardinals.
Yeah, Mike Schilt, Tyler Burns. I mean, you had some players there.
Listen, see how defensive they get? And so ask me who went to Patrick Medford High School.
I'm not going to ask you.
No, I know you're not.
No, I mean, do you think there is some political, I wouldn't say really agenda, but kids that don't make it to those baseball workouts and they're instead playing football or they're playing basketball? Do you think that kind of feeds into that baseball program? Maybe them not getting as much playing time as they should.
Well, I don't think it's not them getting as much playing time. I think what happens is we go summer and fall, right? And fall is football. Mm-hmm. So when you lose a player to football or basketball, whatever, you got to fill that spot. Mm-hmm. So that kid may come back and not have a spot. Yeah. So some of them panic and go, I need to stick here. I need to stay here. If that's your case, then go do the show and go stuff.
Right.
Because you know what? What do they care? They're just going to keep rebooting. They don't care who you are or what you do. Mm-hmm. Then jump out there and do that. There's just so much. There's so many pieces to it. I think it's an individual thing. Like I love going to watch my son play football.
Right.
I do. I work the chain gang so I can get on the field. So it's it's cool to watch. My other son doesn't play anything else other than baseball. And, I think football has been great for Dylan. He's got the mindset of a football player. The worst football player mindset I've ever seen on the field is a GM for the Oakland A's, Billy Beane. That boy could not control his head. Really? And probably one of the best athletes I've ever seen.
Oh, yeah.
In my era, coming through, bodies weren't like that. And here's this dude that's just holy cow. And he'd hit 4 rockets in a weekend or in a game. He'd go 4 for 4 in one game. Then he'd come up to the next game and he'd pop up and he would snap.
Really?
Yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy. But good guy. Billy brought me over to Oakland and, get him out of that environment. I think that's a lot of the reasons that he leaves the stadium when the games go on. He doesn't stick around to watch the Oakland games like all the other GMs do.
Really?
Oh, no, he drives home. He goes home. Doesn't listen to it on the radio. He peels out. That's so I think he probably gets he's recognized his issues. Have you recognized your issues? Ray's like, well,
no comment.
I'm on allergy meds.
I plead the fifth.
So, but that, I don't discourage it. I don't encourage it.
Yeah, it's one of the things where you just got to know who you are. I mean, if you're just highly talented and, it could take 4 months off of a sport and come back and bounce back like you never missed a beat, then hey. But like Jeff said, if you miss, the fall and there's a guy out there playing your position and he's been working for the past 4 or 5 months, how does the high school coach or, I guess we got to say high school coach because it's going into spring.
Right.
How does the high school coach warrant your position back to say, hey, Andrew's back. So,
right.
Thanks, Jimmy. You've been playing first and you've been working your butt off for the past 4 months, but now Andrew's back. And
it's almost like a double-edged sword. I mean, if you think about it, because if you really want to go play football, but then you lose your position in baseball, I mean, it kind of stabs you one way or the other, right?
Yeah, but if
it's really what you want to do is what's important. So,
listen, if you're projecting yourself into the next level as a football player, then go play football.
Yep.
Right.
If it's basketball, then go play basketball.
Sure.
Because the other part of it is, if you're wishy-washy about any of that, don't take the spot of somebody that is projecting themselves out.
Mm-hmm.
And baseball's too hard to just play half the time anyway.
Right.
I mean, I get it. My son does it all year long as well. I'm not going to sit here and be like, the parents did. It's wrong. I mean, he does it. It's just too hard of a sport to, you got to be working. Yeah. You got to be doing it all day long.
Yeah, you have to be doing some type of training. The hitting part is the biggest piece.
Oh yeah.
I mean, when you walk away from hitting, that's the toughest thing to come back to. If you walk away from pitching for a little while, you're on heels. It's not a bad thing at all.
You
right?
You should shut down for 2 or 3 months.
I mean, somebody invented no throw November. What is no throw November? But I understand why.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Shut it down and go away. But that's only 30 days.
Yeah, no, you got to shut it down. I mean, I think that's the problem also where, people are not evaluating or not observing how much they're throwing and they think, all right, shut it down for November, but you're still throwing 11 months out of the year.
Well, we're so bent on velo now, right? So people go, well, I got to do this all winter long so I can throw. I'm tired of watching. I hate when we go to a place to play and they're putting the velo up on the board. Whether it's the right velo or not, some of them are notched down, some of them are notched up, whatever. But a kid will throw a pitch, and I watch a driveline kid. You can tell a driveline kid, right? He's got that one, they want to run up the mound, and then throw, and then the other part they get the tilt and go, and and they're nothing but a fastball. But when you go to a facility that
perfect game example in Georgia, where they got the scoreboard.
Yeah, and every time the kid throws a pitch, what does he do? He turns it back and he looks, and it's like, oh, I threw this, I threw that, and I get tired of hearing it. Listen, you can throw hard. There's guys in the big leagues throwing 88 to 92.
I know. Right? If you go watch a Major League game tonight and look at the starting pitcher. Crenshaw was 91 the other night, 89 to 91, and getting outs. And then I look, I go, how is that? I mean, again, he's effective. He's a major league pitcher. He's throwing 4 or 5 pitches. He's getting out. But again, if you put him in a travel ball circuit right now, no one's looking at him because he's like only 88, 89.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
I mean, it's nuts. Well, they're looking at him because he's left.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
I mean, but
you know what? They're not going to draft. They're not going to draft a kid that's low velo right now. They think that they can carve it out, and these arms are becoming expendable, right? They're like paper towels. You get a good paper towel and you wipe it up. You can probably leave it around, use it again, then all of a sudden it's going to break apart, and then you got to go to the next one. Cardinals. I look at the Cardinals. I mean, they got a bunch of guys throwing 100 miles an hour.
Yeah.
I
read something the other day. I think it was I don't remember what publication it was, but they were just talking about. They see guys in the summertime with the high velos, guys throwing 94, 95. And then when they come see them in the spring, they're down to, 89 to 92. I mean, that's still hard. And then they go, what's wrong with him? What's wrong with his arm? Is his arm hurt? And they go, no, his arm is not hurt. Now he's pitching in the game where he's got to sustain his power. Where, in the showcase, you got 1 inning to just let it all out. And you can throw as hard as you can. But now in a game, you have to maintain, you have to now pitch, and you have to start strategizing, and you start thinking. And there's nothing wrong with his arm. Now he's just pitching.
No, you're talking about maxing out. These kids are not taught to pitch; they're taught to max out, right? So you're going to pitch 5 innings, and that kid's going to go out 5 innings, and there's somebody here to watch him. What's he going to do? He's going to is he going to change speeds? Is he going to carve? He's not going to do that. He's going to reach back and throw as hard as he can because that guy's sitting there pointing a gun at him.
Yep.
And, right. I'm throwing to the gun. I'm not throwing to the hitter. It's amazing, and I see this in catchers too. And your son's pretty good at it. But catchers don't pay attention to hitters at this level. So we're watching, and a lot of times I'll let the catcher call his own game, almost all the time, unless I see something that's glaring and then we got to change it up. But you blow 2 fastballs by a hitter.
And then you speed his bat up.
And then you go off speed or you throw a breaking ball or something like that, 0-2, where you're not even wasting something. And, all of a sudden he's pulling something. When he couldn't even get the barrel out in front to pull a fastball, he's – and now you're out of position. You're doing a lot of different things. But
well, that goes, and it drives me crazy. I mean, when I coach the young guys here, I let the catches, again, they're younger and they should learn from the mistakes. But coaches at such an early age now are calling pitches. I get it at the high school level and the college level. These guys this is their job. You know what I mean? They gotta win because you can't blame it on the catcher. You can't say, oh, the catcher just called the wrong pitch and we lost. But at the travel ball scene and the developmental stages, they should let these kids call their pitches.
If you're going to call the kids pitches, right, then you got to explain to the kid in between innings why we did that, okay? Because at some point you're going to unleash him, right? And you're going to let him go, and you're going to say, you got to look at his hands, you got to look at his setup, you got to watch his swing on deck. Is he bailing out? Is he doing? Yep. And you got to know how to pitch against that. Instead of they look over, they get the sign, they put it down, and they have no idea why you're even doing it.
Yep.
So on the flip side is you let them call their own game and you let them make their mistakes and then you bring it in and you go, come on. So there's 2 sides to it. I listen, when you're basically, you don't have a pitching coach on the bucket or whatever, and you're trying to manage a showcase game and you're watching the whole field and doing whatever. Sometimes it's fun to call games and sometimes it's not. But,
it's tough to call games in the summer and sometimes to showcase. I mean, you don't know these hitters. I mean,
I think you could read some of these hitters pretty quickly. Listen, everybody's going to make mistakes.
Well, I'm talking about
level.
The pitching coaches. They got their chart. They just call the numbers out. And they're not really
charts, man. How can you not remember the hitter that comes through the lineup? You got to chart everybody.
Yeah,
I get it if you're charting to see pitch counts and stuff like that, but if you're charting to you take one swing. We can look on deck and see if a kid can hit him.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like, okay, this is what we need to do, or he takes one swing and files something straight back. You're like, okay, we're coming out of that quad.
Yeah.
We're not going back in there. So it's. I mean, we're in an environment, and I love it. And listen, like I said, I go back and I will say this one more time, and I'll say it a million times again going forward. The guys that are making money doing this thing and doing it, good for them. Free enterprise, right? Mm-hmm. The guys I really appreciate are the guys that are out there developing.
That's
kids.
Right.
I mean, the guys that are putting their heart into it and making the game better and trying to teach on everything. So somebody asked me the other day, it's like, Schaefer, you don't have any meetings after the games? I'm like, for what? I'm teaching all during the game, right? If somebody makes a mistake, I'm not waiting to the end of the game and taking notes and go, okay, you did this, you did that. You got to get it right then and there.
That's right.
It's got to be in their head. And even when they're on the field, like, why, one of my pet peeves when an outfielder throws the ball into the middle of the infield because the cutoff man didn't go to the right base. I don't care if it's a base hit and he's not advancing or not. Do the details and line up and go over there because if you throw it over that kid's head and he's in the middle of the field, now that guy's on third base or, whatever. So, little things like that. So I'm constantly like, line up, man, do the right thing, block, catches. When catches block with nobody on, I love that because it's habit, right? There's no, I'm going to block now because there's somebody on or I'm going to, you work your craft all the time. Right? Do I go after a ground ball differently with nobody on than with somebody on? No. Right? Do I go after a fly ball differently when there's nobody on or somebody on? Maybe because I got to set up my feet and throw.
Yeah.
But I still have to get to the point and I have to do what I'm supposed to do.
That's right.
So it's, you're constantly teaching. And it's interesting because you see so many good athletes, right? We see so many good baseball players. And but we see so many good skills, but we don't see a ton of good baseball players.
Yeah, because it's a lot of training.
Well, a lot of training, and the other part of it is we've become cookie cutter.
Yeah.
So you're going to go get a lesson.
Yep.
You're going to do X, Y, and Z, and it's all like this: say catch ground ball, this say swing the bat, this is what you're supposed to do. But there's no instinct involved. To me, a complete baseball player has instincts to go along with skill set.
That's right. And they also, they take each at bat differently. If this guy got me out on 2 sliders and he set me up pretty nice next to bat, I know what I'm looking for. While these guys are going, like you just said, with their training and their private lessons of hitting, like, no, my hitting coach told me to pick up my knee, drop my elbow.
Yeah, that's all they're concerned about is the mechanics.
Yeah, they just consider the mechanics. They're not worrying about the game. How is this pitcher? Each pitch is different. You know what I mean? It's lefty pitcher throwing a 3/4 slot, righty pitcher, throwing like the Iron Mike. It's totally different. So
it's like I don't scream at the kids, but I'm like, dudes, why are you talking? The guy's warming up right now. We did this the other day. We ambushed the heck out of a pitcher that had a good fastball. So I'm standing there and I'm watching the guy warm up, and he doesn't throw a single breaking ball, and he's a driveline guy. I mean, you can just tell he's just tilt. You know what I mean? It's like this guy has been with a coach that this is all he's read the whole driveline thing, and he's going to do that. There's nothing else to it. Straight fastball, decent velo, right? So I tell one of our guys, I said, listen, how many fastballs did he throw in that warm up? Gives me a number. I said, how many breaking balls did he throw in that number? He gives me another number. The fact of the matter was he didn't throw any breaking balls or any changeup.
Yeah.
He just reached back and threw fastballs.
Yep.
So I told the kid, go up there. I said, be prepared because he's around the zone. You can see when he's warming up, he's around the zone. He's throwing straight. Ambush this fastball. Jump him, right? Yanks it foul. He looks down at me like, oh, man, I missed that. I said, you didn't miss that. This kid's going to throw another fastball because that's all he has. Okay? Ambush this fastball. Bangs one in the gap. All right? So we get in and we get all the kids, we get all the hitters together in the dugout. I'm like, listen, man, just go up there and gear up. It's like hitting off an Iron Mike.
That's right.
Get your timing because he's not going to spin it. And if he does spin one,
it's going to be in the dirt or
so what?
Yeah.
So what? Good guess, But so much. There's so much to teach. Andrew, you're with the younger guys. You're teaching all the time.
Well, yeah, it's funny you just bring that up. Rashad, I mean, I've never heard of this method before, but I really like it, and it's grown on me a lot. We have each kid come out of the dugout at the start of the game and time the first pitcher up. So it's not just your first 3 guys have their timing down and the other guys get their timing down on deck. Every single kid is ready to go.
It could be intimidating too.
Yeah, exactly. And no umpire has ever said no. You can't have all the kids out there in the beginning of the game. Yeah. Not one has. So
well, that's automatic. There's pitches out there that I have on my phone and stuff like that where they're 3 deep. The hitter.
Clemson does it, right? Yeah.
Clemson does it. Exactly right. The hitter, because they got that little area right. They got a big dugout. The hitter, the guy on deck, and the guy in the hole have to all stand there and they all time. And the pitcher's got them all in the same position and they're going.
That's awesome.
But you know what? Again, the kids, they want to be social. They want to have fun. They want to talk. But you know what? I keep telling them, man, listen, it's not my job to, I want you guys to enjoy it. But you can enjoy it by watching the game.
That's right.
So you got to learn that part as well. So there's so much that goes on every weekend. We're picking up and we're driving to Cary this weekend. I have a 9:30 game tomorrow and a 6:30 game at night.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Best schedule, huh?
Right, 2.5 hours away, and then I have a 12:30 game and a 6:30 game on Sunday. Oh. So I'm not getting back until almost 11:30 midnight. The kids got to. So it's we talk about the fall. Okay, so there's probably less teams out there overall in the fall, and there's less talent out there in the fall. Because really the better athletes are doing something. They're playing football. They're doing something. Mm-hmm. But the tournament business is so watered down that wherever you go, whatever you do, you don't know what you're going to get.
I mean, we speak about it all the time. I mean, it's just, everybody just wants to put a tournament and just grab all the amount of teams and just, you get your 4 games and that's it. They're not looking at it as a competitive weekend. They're just looking at it as, hey,
it's dollars.
You pay for 4 games, you get 4 games, and you don't know what time you're going to get those 4 games, and and where. So
and where is right. I mean, they market the college or one of the better venues, and then you end up never even getting there. So it's interesting, but it's the world we live in, man. And you know what? Once you get on the field with the kids, then you kind of forget about all this other stuff. I mean, it's definitely irritating, but when you're playing at 9:30 in the morning and you travel 2.5 hours playing at 9:30 in the morning, then you got to come back and play at 6:30 that night. I mean, it's not fair to the kids. It's not fair to the families. But, you lock in at this point and you pay your fee. And then all of a sudden the schedule comes out 2 days before you're supposed to be there. You can't pull out because they're not going to give you your money back.
That's right.
So they pretty much, they pretty much tell you to grab your ankles and, here we go.
It's also a way to get you to book more hotels.
Yeah, man.
Because if they give you a 4:30 to 6:30 on Saturday, you leave on Saturday morning.
Yeah, I'm leaving tonight. You're right.
I mean, they give you a 9:30 Saturday morning.
I get 2 nights.
You're not going to drive at 5:30 in the morning and have your kid jump out the car to play a game. So you drive up Friday night. Now they got an extra night at a hotel.
So there's a better way to do all that as well. And we're figuring it out on our end, and it's just time. We've done a couple of what we call the micro tournaments, and number of invited teams. We're all staying on the same facility. We're all going out and having a beer afterwards, and it's the right people, the right guys that you enjoy being around, and you don't have to worry about worry, but if you're another organization or whatever, there's somebody trying to poach your kids, or they want to, I mean, we have guys, like I said, ask right on the field. 2 guys, I can 2 guys, 2 different times, 2 years apart. Hey, you want to come play for me? Right on the field. One guy asked right in front of my dugout.
Oh my God!
Right in front of my dugout. And then I asked the kid the next day, "Did that guy ask you to play for him?" He goes, "Yes, sir, he did." And I met the guy at home plate, laid into him, right?
What did he say?
And then he goes, "I didn't do that. So I turned around and I said to my player, I said, "Did he not ask you yesterday to play for this guy? To play for him?" He goes, "Yes, sir, he did." You liar. You know what I mean? I mean, you're going to tell me that, it's so. It's ugly, it's rogue, but it's beautiful at the same time.
Parents just need to be loyal and just, hey, you invested in an organization, just trust what they're going to do and do it right. That's it.
You made a good point. Listen, I'm not so much asking for lawyers. I'm find out what the comfort zone is for you. Find out what you really want for your kid.
Yeah.
And then let it happen. If you want to be a show and go and the uniform is the most important thing and you think it's going to get you somewhere, man, I'll tell you right now, there's an organization that was talking about turning in their uniforms to one of the bigger organizations around here because they put 2 20-year-old kids on top of them. A talented group of kids. And those 20-year-old kids are,
I mean, they just there to just, it's basically, glorified babysitting now.
No.
But, it's,
take the check because the turnover rate, it just keeps going and parents don't, they don't change anything.
Yeah.
I mean, they're going to keep coming.
That's right.
It's like zombies, man. You can't kill them all. There's a show every week, isn't there?
Yeah.
Walking Dead.
Walking Dead. But all right, man. Well, what do you think?
Let's go. Let's do one more thing.
All right. What are we doing?
We talked about it at the beginning of the.
Oh, okay. I like that.
I'm going to pull up on Twitter.
Okay.
Just like one of the first things I see on my timeline, and this looks like a good one. MLB's talking about Cinderella stories. What is your favorite Cinderella story from this year? And then what's your favorite Cinderella story of all time?
Oh, it's easy. Mine.
What's
Cinderella story is Mike Schilt.
For this year?
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
I mean, that could be for a lifetime.
You took mine.
Right.
Oh,
no, I didn't take it. I owned it. You asked. I owned it.
Okay, well,
I didn't take it.
Well, what's your favorite one of all time?
My favorite Cinderella story of all time.
Yep. It can be a game or it can be a team.
It could be the rookie.
Yeah.
The rookie could be one.
That's a good one.
That's pretty cool. That you left the game. In the big leagues right now, the guy with Milwaukee, Tames.
Yeah.
I mean, like run out of the game basically and goes to Korea just to kind of keep playing and comes back and got a chance to go to the World Series.
That's right.
That's pretty cool. There's there's so many of those. So many of those stories. I mean, you can look at Ted Williams. That was a fighter pilot.
Oh yeah.
And came back and did everything that left the game and went and
they have a great documentary on him on PBS. Ted Williams, that was amazing. I seen it last week.
He's ahead now. You know that, right?
He's frozen.
Well, his head's frozen.
His head's frozen?
Just his head's frozen cryogenically.
Wow.
Yeah.
I
would taking that head and putting it on like Stanton's body.
Oh my God.
Yeah. That might happen someday,
Jeez.
I won't be around.
What you got, Ray? What's yours?
What, Cinderella story?
Your Cinderella story of this year, and then your favorite all time.
I don't know about this year. I don't have, you put me on the spot there. All time, I would say 1986 Mets.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's not bad.
That was a special World Series.
I would say this year, Oakland A's.
I was going to say Oakland.
I mean, I was not expecting them to make a playoff appearance this year.
I'm never surprised by Oakland because I'm never surprised by Billy Beane, what he's done. I mean, they do their research on players, and they don't have to go out and get the big market guys because they can't afford them.
Yeah.
But, listen, there's guys in this game that evaluate, And we got scouts in this area, right? Gary Randall's one of them. Schill was one of them. Mark McKnight's another one. These guys have artist eyes. Jim Rooney, Marlon McPhail. The guys that we know around here. It takes a special eye to really understand what talent looks like now and what it's going to look like. And not only if you're projecting as a college coach in 3 or 4 years, but what it's going to look like in 10 years.
Yeah.
These kids are 18. What's it going to look like when they're 28, when they're supposed to be peaking at the big league level?
That's right.
Right.
So you got, and that's the part that really hurts me about the game. I mean, honestly, juice balls, smaller fields, whatever, all that other stuff goes on. We get past that, but when you start taking the true baseball people out of the mix, and that's the scouts, you're going to hurt the game.
Right.
And even Pete said it yesterday, the game's watered down.
Yep.
The game is watered down. Analytics have come involved. You've expanded you've gotten so big at the major league level that you have players in the big leagues that, that really don't belong there. And somebody might have said that about me. You know what I mean? Like, how does this guy get 5 years? Well, I don't know. But, it's those guys are so critical to the game, and they're getting beat up because you got geeks coming out of Yale and Harvard, and when they should be fixing computers down at Best Buy, they're making decisions on our freaking game, and it's upsetting, and it's upsetting. It's upsetting for me. I can only imagine what it feels like to be grinding it out and submitting reports on players and getting this kickback from some nerd that that's never even owned a glove.
Yeah, I couldn't even imagine what scouting has to You got to tip your hats to those guys every day. I mean, the grind that they go through every day to look for that special talent, like you said, because they're not just projecting on what you did today. Hey, that kid went 4-4. Well, who did he do it all for? But they're looking at 5, 7, 10 years from now to say, hey, this kid's going to fill out. He's going to be bigger. He's going to be stronger. He's going to be faster. And this kid is going, or the comparison of who this kid is going to be in the future. That's what they're looking at. And then when you got like you just said, when you got somebody that's sitting behind a computer that don't have those comps, that seen the guys 10 years ago that, hey, this guy reminds me of a pitcher that I drafted out of Texas, and this guy's going to be the next major leaguer. And the guy that's looking behind the computer like, no, his spin rate is not at 2,700 RPM, or his launch angle is not at a 28 launch angle, so he's not going to project to it because he's not going to hit like that guy. No, you looking at him right now and saying what he's going to do in the future, not what he's doing.
Those guys don't need those numbers. They've seen so many baseball players in their lives that it's.
They can hear the way the ball sounds off a bat. Or
the way it hits a glove. Or, it's they can watch a kid run down first base and go, okay, they can almost tell you to the number what he's running.
Yeah.
So it's still the greatest game in the world, and. I just hope that people start to realize. Like, I love. Here's another funny thing, and I say this because I'm going to bring up Dusty Wathan because he's with Philadelphia and he's a good friend, and Huck is in here, and I'm not a Phillies fan by any stretch of the name, but I'm certainly not a Gabe Kapler fan, and Dusty works for Gabe Kapler, and obviously he has respect for him, whatever. But I hate for Dusty that they hit the skids and they went south as fast as they did Philadelphia. But I'm also on the side of being anti-sabermetric. Like, guess what, man? It's gonna expose itself. It's gonna continue to expose itself. And when these people start getting, you think Mike Schilt was a sabermetrics guy his whole life?
No,
absolutely not.
He didn't get into the game because he was a sabermetrics guy at the scouting level. Joe Madden, not a sabermetrics guy. Bruce Bochy, go down the list. Sosha, these guys have been around for a period of time, right? Not that. But listen, on top of that, I'll say this: there is information there that comes through that stuff that's valuable.
Oh, absolutely.
But you can't overload somebody, and you can't. I heard a story, and it could be rumor, it could be fact, but I heard that Aaron Boone doesn't get to the clubhouse until after 1:30, 2 o'clock, and the lineup's already posted. He didn't post it. That's the Yankees.
Yeah. Interesting.
So that's could be fact, could be fiction. I'm going with fact.
You say fact, I say fact. Whatever. Let's go for it.
Let's do it. All right, man. You want to wrap this one up, Andrew?
Yeah, wrap it up.
All right, it's wrapped. Peace out.
Later.
Appreciate it, Ray. Appreciate it, Andrew. Appreciate it. I said appreciate it.
Peace.
Appreciated. All right, man. We'll take you guys next week.